Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12 Out Sports. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. We are live in Baltimore, Maryland, home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. I hope you all are excited for today's March Madness special at the 153rd show we have here today. But I have a couple of NFL topics for all of you folks before we can really jump into March Madness. I have a bracket. I have it right next to me. I'll show it to you guys later on today's show. But let's start off with today's show. And I wasn't kind of expecting to really talk about anything NFL related. But let's start with Drew Brees' retirement. Drew Brees was one of the most, not the most important player in the franchise's history for the New Orleans Saints. He meant everything to the city. He meant everything to the franchise. He signed with them on March 14th, 2006. So when we knew that he didn't announce his retirement before yesterday, we were like, is he having second thoughts about coming back? Is he not having second thoughts about coming back? The truth of the matter is, he wanted to wait to the exact date that he was planning to retire. He wanted to make the exact 15 years from the day he signed his contract with the New Orleans Saints. His first stint in his NFL career did not work with the Los Angeles Chargers, but the Sean Payton and Drew Brees marriage was one for the ages. And because Drew Brees is now retired, Taysom Hill did sign a 4-year, $140 million contract extension, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter yesterday. But it's a tricky contract because you could basically opt out of it like after every single year. And Jameis Winston, who we thought it was going to be his team, and now probably not going to be the case with Jameis Winston. It's probably going to be Taysom Hill's team. Maybe they draft a quarterback with the 27th overall pick. Who in the high seas knows what's going to happen? But the New Orleans Saints, and for Drew Brees, his next stop is Canton, Ohio, the heart and soul of the New Orleans Saints for this entire time. They are going to miss his presence, and this team is going to dearly miss him. So, what were some of Drew Brees' career stats in his career? He did play in 287 career games. He also started 286 of them. Had a 172 and 114 record. completed 7,142 of 10,551 of his passes. And he completed 67.7, had a 67.7 completion percentage. He had 571 touchdowns and 243 interceptions. Excuse me. He actually threw for 10,551 yards in his career. No, sorry. Oh. I know he was one of the most passing yards of all time. Excuse me for that error. I guess I forgot to write down the yards he had in his career. Yikes. Okay, then. That's why I shouldn't be so relevant on stats all the time. First hiccup of today, but that's okay. I'm probably going to make all sorts of hiccups when I'm filling out my March Madness brackets, because whatever. All right. And he also won a Super Bowl MVP with the New Orleans Saints back in 2009 when they beat the Indianapolis Colts, and now you're like, should he have won more Super Bowls? Should he not won more Super Bowls? He probably got his one that he deserved. Probably could have won another one. Should have been in the Super Bowl against New England Patriots and Tom Brady a couple years ago. And that was robbed by the official against Los Angeles Rams. And also, don't forget about the Minneapolis Miracle. They would have probably maybe beaten the Philadelphia Eagles as well the next week. And then you lose to the Minnesota Vikings a couple years later. Then it shows he got washed up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's why they lost. So now let me move into my next NFL segment over here. So Aaron Jones is back with the Green Bay Packers for a 4-year, $48 million contract extension. And he's getting $13 million right on the dot for his signing bonus. Boy, oh boy, I wish hey, Beck, can you give me a $13 million signing bonus? The first time I could ever sign my 12-ounce sports contract, you two go to the edge, and that would be pretty nice. If I were able to get some sort of contract like that. But no, unfortunately, I do not have that kind of money. What this Aaron Jones signing tells me is, what are you going to do with A.J. Dillon, the guy you drafted in the second round? Probably the worst draft the Green Bay Packers ever had. And secondly, Jamal Williams, I thought was actually not bad himself. But Aaron Rodgers needs that second wide receiver other than Davante Adams. You got to go use it on your first round pick this year. Don't you dare use it on a running back again. And don't you triple dog dare use it on a quarterback. The Green Bay Packers front office better not mess this up. Because I don't have a cheesehead in my room right now. Although one of my Packers fans friends gave it back to me in high school when I was rooting for the Packers in the Super Bowl against the Steelers. And I wanted to wear it in my head. I also wore an A.J. Hawk jersey. I probably should have never done that. But I guess I was just in the mood and I just didn't want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers win. But on a more important note, if the Green Bay Packers want to win the Super Bowl at some point down the road, you better get Aaron Rodgers another receiver. You better, if you do not re-sign Corey Linsley, you better find a center that will get it done. And Aaron Jones, yeah, I know he has his his fumbling issues. He usually does not get hurt. He's usually reliable. But if he does not fix his fumbling issues with the Green Bay Packers moving forward, then this contract will be regrettable. But the Miami Dolphins were one of the teams that were supposedly interested in him. Now I heard they're trying to ship to Kenny Golladay and Juju Smith-Schuster. And Aaron Jones, the RPO of the Green Bay Packers running back backfield, I mean, he's been much better in the last two seasons under only 2-year head coach Matt LaFleur right now of the Green Bay Packers. And I'm going to say a couple other things about the NFL quickly now that this is my last segment with the Aaron Jones Green Bay Packers running back signing segment. And let me tell you his stats quickly. 201 carries last year for 1,104 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns. He had 47 receptions for 355 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. See, those stats I wrote were more clear. You got to write these things legibly so you don't have any hiccups, right, guys? That's what it's all about here. So let me tell you one other thing about the NFL before I get into my whole March Madness thing. So right before I logged on to the show, according to ESPN's Diana Rossini, she's fantastic at what she does. She does a wonderful job as always, that the Tennessee Titans are not expected to retain either wide receiver Corey Davis or tight end Jonnu Smith. So they're both expected to hit the market technically at noon today. That's when the legal tampering period begins. But Thursday, these contracts become official. So we will see where this lands with all of these free agents. So that's it for me talking about the NFL today. Use promo code 12OutSports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. And ladies and gentlemen, we are live on 12 Out Sports. Quench your thirst. Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. Get up to $1,000 bonus with your first deposit with mybookie.ag, 12 Out Sports, promo 12 Out Sports. And ladies and gentlemen, before I get into my March Madness segment, as I always do on every show, thank you, JB Beck, Cody Jensen, Philly Pete, Michael Cavales, Luke Gamlin, Ty Valdez, and the rest of the 12 Out Sports crew for making these shows always spectacular and professional and exciting. And now I can finally transition to what I've been waiting for 2 years. Because we did not have March Madness last season, because of the whole coronavirus situation, we had a selection Sunday yesterday. Yeah, I know we don't have people going out west or out east or the northwest or the midwest, south, wherever you want to go. But it was just named that way because of Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 brackets. Just set up the regions. It's all going to be played in the Indianapolis, Indiana area, where my close friend Michael Bowery is from that area. It's a great thing that we have March Madness back. And I have one thing for you all this morning. Chomp, 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 baby. Let's go, Florida Gators. That's all I got to say. They're probably not going to win the tournament. Come on, I'm not that silly. And now, actually, before I show you my bracket, let me read off to you a couple of things very quickly. So here, let me tell you who the number 1 seeds are in case you, I don't know, didn't find out last night who the number 1 seeds are. Here they are. Illinois, Michigan, Baylor, and Gonzaga. And Gonzaga is the number 1 overall seed. No issue with any of those number 1 seeds at all. So I'm not arguing any of that. And they all deserved it. However, maybe Alabama had a chance to be on the number 1 seed line as well here. But they honestly couldn't replace any of them despite maybe winning the SEC title. Maybe Michigan because of the Isaiah Livers injury. But no. And Virginia is the national defending champions. And we will see what happens in this March Madness. Last year was just March Sadness. This year it's March Madness and March Sadness, baby. Let's now get to the NCAA tournament snubs. And whoever is in charge, and I know JB Beck has messaged me this thousands of times, that this sports network has different people running the account. But someone's doing a really good job of trying to troll me because as I posted on my Facebook and my Twitter accounts yesterday, someone did a wonderful job of trolling me because I guess you all know that I do not like the fact that the Michigan State Spartans are in the NCAA tournament. And let me read you this list of the last 4 teams in and the first 4 teams out. Okay, here's who were the last 4 teams in. Michigan State at 15-12, net ranking 70. UCLA 17-9, net ranking of 46. Wichita State 16-5, net ranking of 72. And Drake 25-4, net ranking of 45. So let's see who are the first 4 teams out. Louisville 13-7, net ranking 56. Colorado State 18-6, net ranking 51. St. Louis 14-6, net ranking of 43. And Ole Miss is 16-11 record, net ranking of 53. So the first 4 teams that are out, they are actually on standby because of the whole coronavirus situation. If a team has to drop out of the NCAA tournament by tomorrow, that Louisville will be the first team to replace one of those teams in that seed bracket. So, for example, if they have to replace 8 seed North Carolina, then Louisville will take the 8 seed spot. They're not going to rejumble the entire bracket because it is already out. So that's how they're doing this. And for the first time since 1976, the Duke Blue Devils and the Kentucky Wildcats are not in the NCAA tournament at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're finally waiting for. And I have it with me right now. Here we go. Here is my bracket. And I'm about to fill the whole thing out. I know you can probably barely see it. But I'm going to start filling out my bracket right now live on this show. And I'm going to go pick by picks, one by one with y'all for the rest of today's show. So bear with me here. So let's get started let's start with the playing games. Let's start with number 16 seed Norfolk State against number 16 seed Appalachian State. And now the winner of this game plays the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Let's go with Norfolk State here with a 16-7 record over a 17-11 Appalachian State team. So I'm taking Norfolk State. Now let's go to the next one. Wichita State at 16-5 versus number 11 Drake at 25-4. Now Wichita State always usually makes a tournament based off a name. Guys, they had guys before like Landry Shamet, who's now on the Brooklyn Nets, and Fred VanVleet, who's now in Toronto Raptors. So I'm going to take number 11 seed Drake here at 25-4. I've seen them. I think they're a little bit better than Wichita State. So that's who I have here. Now let's go into the next first 4 game. Mount St. Mary's at 12-10 versus Texas Southern at 16-8. Let's go with Texas Southern. Now, Michigan State at 15-12 versus UCLA at 17-9. I got to go with UCLA. I don't know why Michigan State is even in the tournament to begin with. Don't even get me started on me thinking Michigan State, and I hope UCLA kicks their tail. The Michigan State Spartans do not belong in the NCAA tournament. No, they do not. The UCLA Bruins are better. Louisville got snubbed over. They should have been in over Michigan State. Let's start with Gonzaga's bracket side of the bracket. Gonzaga undefeated 26-0 versus Norfolk State at 16-7. Obviously, you got to go Gonzaga. Because listen with this with Gonzaga. Gonna have some NBA guys. You have Jalen Suggs. This is probably the best Mark Few team he's ever had. And it's been since the 1970s, that an undefeated team won a national title. The last time an undefeated team entered the NCAA tournament was the Kentucky Wildcats with Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, and that team was loaded. But they lost to Wisconsin in the Final Four, did not even make it a national title. Let me go to my next one. Oklahoma 8 seed 15-10 versus Missouri at 16-9. I'm taking Missouri. I did not like the way how Oklahoma looked against Kansas in the Big 12 tournament. And I think Oklahoma is the weakest Big 12 team in the NCAA tournament this year. And I don't think it's even close. I think they have some skill guys. I think they could defend. But I think they're going to struggle to shoot. And I actually don't think Missouri's actually a bad basketball team. Next up, not 5-seeded 20-8 Creighton versus 12-seeded 22-4 UC Santa Barbara. Now, there's always a couple instances every year that a 12-seed beats a 5-seed, but I'm not going to go with it here. I'm taking Creighton. So I'm going to take the Creighton Blue Jays in this one. Next up, now this is an upset that a lot of people are taking here in this instance for some reason. Number 4-seeded Virginia Cavaliers at 18-6 versus number 13, 16-7 Ohio Bobcats. I'm going to take the defending champion, the Cavaliers here, over the Bobcats. Okay. So now let me get into my next one. USC versus, I have them playing Drake. I'm going to take the USC Trojans because of NBA prospect Evan Mobley. And the USC Trojans get an at-large bid. And I'm telling you, the USC Trojans are going to be a very, very interesting NCAA tournament team that they could go on a run, but so can Drake. So I think this is more evenly matched. Drake and USC, more than people anticipate and realize if they went this route in this direction. So now, Kansas and Eastern Washington. Rock Chalk, baby. Got to go with Rock Chalk. That's an easy one here. I think they're one of the most talented teams in this year's NCAA tournament. They had a couple key players out for the Big 12 tournament because of some coronavirus testing protocols. And now, as long as they're fully healthy, I think they're a very dangerous 3-seed. Oregon and VCU. This is the 7-10 line. I'm going to take Oregon easily because I don't think VCU is that great. And Oregon, they always make a names for themselves some way, somehow in the NCAA tournament. They don't embarrass themselves. They usually at least win one game every year in the NCAA tournament. Next up, 15-seeded Grand Canyon versus number 2-seed Iowa. Now, Bryce Drew, the brother of Scott Drew, is the head coach for Grand Canyon in its first tournament appearance in NCAA history. But I got to go with Luka Garza and easily here for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So, let me now get into my next first rounders here. Number 1 seed Michigan versus Texas Southern. Easily Michigan despite not having Isaiah Livers, but it may prove large in the second round. LSU St. Bonaventure, very close 9-8 game, but I got to go with the athletic LSU Tigers because I think they play in a better conference, and I think they're going to give St. Bonaventure some typical problems. Next up, 12-seeded Georgetown Hoyas, coached by Patrick Ewing, 13-12 record versus number 5 seed Colorado, 22-8. This is where I go with the 12-5 upset. Give me the Georgetown Hoyas. Next up, UNC Greensboro, 13 seed at 21-8 versus the number 4 seed, the Florida State Seminoles at 16-6. I'm going Florida State here. I like their athleticism. They defend. They just need to cut down on the turnovers. As long as they don't commit the amount of turnovers like they did in the ACC championship game against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, they're going to be just fine. Because if you ask me, they are the best team in the ACC, representing the ACC in this NCAA tournament. Next up, UCLA versus BYU. I got to go BYU. I know they didn't win, the WCC championship game against Gonzaga, but in order to win games in the NCAA tournament, you got to knock down your threes, which is what BYU does well. You got to shoot the three, and if you hit your threes, you're going to advance, and if you miss your threes, you're done, finished, finitoed, done. So that's why I like BYU here. Now, Alabama Christian, a 14 seed at 23-4 versus number 3 seed Texas, 19-7, led by Shaka Smart. I got to go with the Texas Longhorns here. Next up, number 10 seed Maryland Terrapins at 16-13 versus number 7 seed UConn Huskies at 15-7. Let me go with the Maryland Terrapins. I think they come from a better conference, and I like the way Mark Turgeon's squad played down the stretch, and they were one of the few teams this year to complete their entire schedule and not have a COVID outbreak issue, which was a props and job well done to the Maryland Terrapins basketball program. Now let's go with number 15 seed Iona, coached by Rick Pitino at 12-5 versus number 2 seed coached by Nate Oates at 24-6. I got to go with the Roll Tide. Give me Alabama here in this one. Next bracket. Baylor's bracket. Baylor versus Hartford. Easy pick. Give me the Baylor Bears. Next up, North Carolina Tar Heels versus the Wisconsin Badgers. I'm going to take the North Carolina Tar Heels. First of all, Wisconsin is going to not be tough enough for the Tar Heels. The Tar Heels can throw bodies at you. They can rebound, they can defend, and they can shoot. Wisconsin, for some reason, every year, other than the 1 year they made it to the national championship game with Nigel Hayes and Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker, have not been a well-known shown in the NCAA tournament recently. Next up, number 5 seed Villanova versus number 12 seed Winthrop. Upset number 12 seed Winthrop over number 5 seed Villanova. And the only reason why I'm taking Villanova to lose has nothing to do with Jay Wright and the way he coaches that program. Because I love Jay Wright. I had questions about him in the past. But it has to do with anything and everything with Connor Gillespie's injury. And that's why they couldn't beat Georgetown. But you got to give Georgetown credit there because they went 23 of 23 from the free throw line in that game. And when you go 23 of 23 from the free throw line, you deserve to win that basketball game. But Winthrop can also score. And I think that's going to cause a problem for the Villanova Wildcats and Jay Wright and company. Number 13 seed North Texas versus number 4 seed Purdue. And I didn't realize until yesterday that they were actually playing tournament games in Purdue. But here I'm going North Texas. Sorry, Beck. I'm going with the 13-4 upset. Now, Utah State versus Texas Tech as an 11-6. Give me the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Next one, Colgate, Arkansas. Both of these teams could shoot. It's going to be a very close game until the very end. But I got to go with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Next up, number 10 seed Virginia Tech versus number 7 seed Florida Gators. I'm going with the Florida Gators. They always usually win a game or two in the NCAA tournament. And the last time they were a 7 seed was back in 2012. When they went to the Elite Eight. Now, I'm telling you this right now. Trey Mann is this year's Carson Edwards. What do I mean? Remember back in 2019 when Carson Edwards for Purdue was basically unconscious, couldn't miss. He basically tore Villanova to shreds, and then he tore Tennessee to shreds, and they should have been in Virginia. Oh, baby, do I remember those times. Trey, man, it's time for you to put on a show. And go, and maybe they hopefully can win this week, Keontae Johnson. But we will see what happens. And I saw that for all you bettors out there. That's a 1 point. Florida's favored by 1 point. And it's crazy. Ohio State, number 2 seed versus Oral Roberts, number 15. Give me the Ohio State Buckeyes. Next bracket, Illinois versus Drexel. Illinois easily. Loyola Chicago, 8 seed versus number 9 seed Georgia Tech. I'm going Loyola Chicago. Remember, they just made it to the Final Four a few years ago. Lady Jean, that special thing, the Rumbling Ramblers. So don't count out this team. They're very good from the Missouri Valley Conference. And they always get a couple of very good teams in the NCAA tournament. They never embarrass themselves, which is good for the conference. Number 5 seed Tennessee versus number 12 Oregon State. I got to go with the Tennessee Volunteers. They're more athletic, and they're probably going to beat up the Oregon State Beavers pretty good. Number 4 seed Oklahoma State versus number 13 seed Liberty. You got to give it to Cade Cunningham and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, I told people this about the Oklahoma State Cowboys. The Oklahoma State Cowboys are this year's 2011 UConn Huskies. When Kemba Walker and Jeremy Lamb accept the fact that Cade Cunningham is going to be a number 1 overall pick, well, Kemba Walker was a lottery pick for the Charlotte Bobcats Hornets at the time. And plus, I think Cade Cunningham has better role players than Kemba Walker did. But I am really not a fan of how the NCAA Tournament Committee put Oklahoma State in this region. Number 11, Syracuse versus number 6, San Diego State. I'm going number 6, San Diego State. Next up, Morehead State, West Virginia. Give me the upset. Morehead State over West Virginia. It happens every year with West Virginia. There's always a way that West Virginia always basically blows it in the NCAA tournament. And you want to know what's something funny? There is something that popped in my head, and it goes back to my sophomore year in high school. And let me tell you this quick story before I move on. So I was a sophomore, and Morehead State played Louisville at the time. So there was this one West Virginia fan in my class, and I like Florida fan. So there was a Louisville fan in my class, and the West Virginia fan always kept saying to me, let's go talk to this kid, say, chant to him Morehead State because they upset Louisville in the NCAA tournament that year. So now let's fast forward 9 years later, that Morehead State is playing West Virginia, and if Morehead State, which I picked to upset West Virginia, actually happens, the old saying karma, what goes around comes around, baby. Now, Clemson and Rutgers. I'm going to take the Clemson Tigers. No, Trevor Lawrence isn't playing. No, Trevor Lawrence ain't playing. It's not college football. But you got to take Clemson over Rutgers in this first time in a while since Rutgers has made the NCAA tournament, and they're going to be a quick out, just like it reminded me of 2014 when Nebraska made it for the first time in a while in the Big Ten. So let's go. Number 2 seed Houston versus number 15 seeded Cleveland State. Give me Houston. So before I get into the second round of this thing here, use promo code 12OunceSports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. We are live. Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner, 12-ounce sports, quench your sports thirst. Get up to $1,000 bonus with your first deposit with mybookie.ag. 12-ounce sports, quench your sports thirst, and promo code 12-ounce sports. So now let's go to the second round. Now let's work this way backwards. Let's start off with the second round. Stay in the same bracket that I was in. Clemson versus Houston. Give me 5 Slamma-Jamma in Houston. Now, Morehead State, San Diego State. I got to go with the Aztecs. Next up, the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I do not think that in this round, the Tennessee Volunteers would have enough offense to keep up with Cade Cunningham and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They can make it physical. They can make it rough for a while. But at the end of the day, stars are going to shine in the NCAA tournament. Give me Oklahoma State. Next up, Illinois versus Loyola Chicago. Now, this is a bad draw for Loyola Chicago. Had they been in Baylor or Michigan instead of Illinois, I would have liked them a lot. But not here. I got to go with Illinois in a close one. And it's going to be interesting because it's going to be a kind of in-state rivalry. It's not an in-state rivalry, but it's going to be an in-state matchup, just like when Wichita State played Kansas a couple of years ago as a 7-2 matchup, and Wichita State knocked out Kansas in the second round. Let's go now to the second round matchup. Florida and Ohio State. I got to go Ohio State here. Ohio State's a little bit more physical and better, and there are always times, and Ohio State can cause Florida to go cold from the field, and when Florida goes cold from the field, that's it. Yeah. Trey Man's going to have to carry him, like I said about Carson Edwards for Purdue, and then you got Noah Locke. And you have, we'll see if Omar Pay gets suspended because of his elbow to the head in the SEC tournament, what he did the other day. But we'll see. Texas Tech, Arkansas. I like Arkansas as a dark horse. But you can never doubt Chris Beard. I got to go with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. So now let's go Winthrop, North Texas as a 13-12 matchup. I got to go with Winthrop here to get to the Sweet 16. Now let's get to number 1 seed Baylor versus number 8 seed North Carolina. A close game, but I'm going Baylor. So this is how I feel when it comes to this. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was a quick commercial break. Just need to catch my breath for a minute. Excuse me. So now let's get back into the Michigan bracket. Maryland, Alabama. Gotta go with Roll Tide here. I do think that Maryland can give them a close game. But I think Alabama's a little bit better defensively and offensively than Maryland is. And now this might be the most interesting second round matchup that I have in this region, maybe potentially BYU, Texas. I like BYU a lot, but the athleticism of Texas stands out to me, so I got to go with the Texas Longhorns. Now let me get into Patrick Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas versus Leonard Hamilton's Florida State Seminoles. Now, every now and then we usually get a 12-4 upset in the second round. They're going to keep this game close to Hoyas because they play hard. It's going to be a sloppy, ugly game. But I got to go with the Florida State Seminoles over Georgetown. Next up, number 8 LSU versus number 1 Michigan. This is where the first number 1 seed goes down. Number 8 LSU over number 1 Michigan. Without Isaiah Livers, it is going to cause a problem for Michigan. They're only a good team, not a great team without him. Plus, LSU's athletic. Michigan will be the first number 1 seed to fall. I remember a few years ago, where it's Virginia, North Carolina, Duke, and Gonzaga was the other number 1 seed. And I said to people, North Carolina is going to be the first number 1 seed to fall. And North Carolina fans coming after me, they're like, Glenn, North Carolina is not going to be the first number 1 seed out. I'm like, they didn't deserve to be a number 1 seed. And I told y'all that North Carolina was going to be the first one out. So I'm telling you, Michigan will be the first one out here. Let's go to Oregon, Iowa. I got to go with the Iowa Hawkeyes. USC and Kansas. Got to go Rock Chalk once again. Virginia and Creighton. Keep alive Virginia, baby. They're staying alive and dancing for now. Next up, Missouri Gonzaga. This should be an easy one. Got to go with the Gonzaga Bulldogs once again. So, now let's get to the Sweet 16, where now it really starts to get fun. Number 1 seed Gonzaga Bulldogs versus number 4 seed the Virginia Cavaliers. Bye-bye defending champions. Gonzaga knocks you out. Kansas, Iowa, and I love this game. And it happens to know that I always fall for a 3 seed against a 2, where I think a 3 seed might be better than a 2, but I know better. I'm taking the Iowa Hawkeyes over the Kansas Jayhawks. LSU, Florida State. Here's what's interesting, and I'm going to give you advice on this one, filling out brackets, although I don't think I'm really going to do this here. For the last 9 out of 10 tournaments, there has been at least 1 5 seed or lower that reaches the Final Four. Here's the thing, I like LSU and Florida State. But I gotta go LSU over Florida State. Then Texas and Alabama. Give me, and this sounds interesting from a football perspective, but you gotta give me the Texas Longhorns here to beat Alabama. So now, Baylor at Winthrop. It was a nice run, Winthrop, but I gotta go with the Baylor Bears here. Then, Texas Tech, Ohio State, I gotta go with the Buckeyes. Illinois, Oklahoma State, which could potentially be the Sweet 16 game of the ages between Cade Cunningham and IU of Illinois. And Illinois reminds me of the 2018 North Carolina Tar Heels. But you know what this game also reminds me of? 2012 Indiana, Kentucky. Remember when Indiana, a lot of people were picking Indiana to beat Kentucky in the Sweet 16 that year? because Indiana beat Kentucky earlier in the year in Indiana, but then Kentucky won that game like 102-90. And that was a big-time shootout in that one. And I know a lot of people are going to take Oklahoma State to beat Illinois. But from what I've seen, I like Illinois a lot, so I got to go with them here. Now let's go to San Diego State versus Houston. I'm going San Diego State to get to the Elite Eight. Now I know I probably just made another error that I always, every now and then, fall in love with 6 versus 1s in Elite Eights. And some way, somehow, number 6 seeds always lose to that 11. Because I remember it happened to me one year when I had Ohio State go to the Elite Eight as a 6, and they lost to number 11 seed Dayton. I so remember that. I actually remember that happening. It's my senior year of high school. And I was texting with my friends yesterday. He texted me something like, what, back in the high school days or something? All right, let's get now more serious note here. Let me see if I can show you this before I get to my Final Four. So this is what I have so far. It's probably a little blurry. You probably can't see it. So that's what I have so far. I'm up to my Elite Eight. So let's start with Illinois, San Diego State. Illinois Fighting Illini. Baylor or Ohio State in the Elite Eight. Let's go with the Baylor Bears. Let's go now LSU and Texas. Let's go Texas. And then the Iowa Hawkeyes versus the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Give me the Iowa Hawkeyes in a 2-1 upset with Luka Garza taking the game over Jalen Suggs in the Elite Eight. I'm telling you, do not fall for the undefeated Gonzaga Bulldogs. Because it's been so long that a team has actually finished the season undefeated. Do not fall for it at all. Simply do not. I'm telling you, I kind of make this mistake sometimes, but we'll see. So, before I get to the Final Four, I do have my Final Four picked. So I have number 2 seed Iowa from the Big Ten. Number 3 seed Texas from the Big 12. Number 1 seed Baylor from the Big 12. And number 1 seed Illinois from the Big Ten. So that's what I have here for my Final Four. So now let me get back to my Elite Eight for a second. And now let me tell you what conferences I have. Gonzaga from the WCC. Iowa from the Big Ten. LSU from the SEC. Texas from the Big 12. San Diego State from the Mountain West. Illinois from the Big Ten. Ohio State from the Big Ten. And Baylor from the Big 12. So what does that translate? I had 3 teams from the Big Ten making the Elite Eight. 2 from the Big 12, 1 from the SEC, and so forth. Now let me just get to the Sweet 16 quickly. Then I can predict my Final Four here. Gonzaga, WCC, Virginia, ACC, Kansas, Big 12, Iowa, Big 10, LSU, SEC, Florida State, ACC, Texas, Big 12, Alabama, SEC, Baylor from the Big 12, Winthrop, Mid-Major Conference, Texas Tech, Big 12, Ohio State, Big 10, Illinois, Big 10, Oklahoma State. Big 12, San Diego State. The Mountain West and Houston from the AAC. Now, let's get into the Final Four. The first one, the Iowa Hawkeyes versus Texas. All right. Texas can run, shoot, defend, and get after it. They love to play in shootouts. And Iowa's got the Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets in college basketball and Luka Garza. Fred McCaffrey's squad, Iowa versus Shaka Smart squad in Texas. Now, I think, despite a potential 6:09 Eastern Time start in the Final Four at Lucas Oil Stadium, Indianapolis, Indiana, called by Jim Nantz, Bill Raftery, Tracy Wolfson, and I believe Grant Hill's on that team too. The announcing team. But this would be like Auburn, Virginia a couple of years ago. Very close to the end. And in this Iowa-Texas game, I like the athleticism of Texas to get to the national championship. Next, Baylor, Illinois. Now, Baylor has had its history of choking in the NCAA tournament. But them getting to a Final Four is absolutely huge for them. The Illinois Fighting Illini, Illinois Fighting Illini, led by IU, they are 7, 8, 9, 10 deep. They're one of the most talented college basketball teams all time, and they're team-oriented, like the 2013-2014 Florida Gators, who are the number 1 overall seed but lost to the 17 UConn. They lost to Shabazz Napier that year twice. That was 2 of their 3 losses that year, and the UConn won a national championship against the 8 seed Kentucky by the Harrison Twins. And I don't understand how that was an 8 seed, Kentucky. They basically stacked Wichita State's bracket, and I couldn't understand that one for the life of me. But Illinois, Baylor, I like this one to be close. But I got to ride with the Fighting Illini in Illinois. Now, we get to the national championship. April 5th, 9 o'clock Eastern Time tip-off. More probably like 9:20, 9:21 Eastern Time. Always happens. They announce the starting lineups. And it's going to be a limited fans in attendance. And it's going to be fun that we actually have March Madness this year, unlike last year, where it was just March Sadness. Texas, Illinois would be one of the most intriguing national championship games we have seen in a long time. It would not be like Villanova, North Carolina, which I think was the greatest college basketball game that I have ever seen in my lifetime. There are no questions asked. That is the greatest college basketball game that I have ever seen in my life. But Texas, Illinois could be a better game in my lifetime and in my life, but we will see. So, Shaka Smart's Texas Longhorn squad versus the Illinois Fighting Illini. The national champion for the 2021 March Madness is number 1 seed, Illinois Fighting Illini. Will win it all. And the score will be 74-73. That's what I have as my 2021 national championship game and national champion, the Illinois Fighting Illini is my national champion here for 2021. I don't know if you all could see that or not. There it is. That's who I have winning the national championship this season. I was super ecstatic that I was able to fill out my bracket on today's show. And if you fill it out live on today's show, and if you fill out every single one of my picks, and if I get some of this wrong, you can hold me responsible. And no, I'm not putting any money on the NCAA tournament. I gotta fill out a couple more brackets later. My one friend from I used to go to Towson Hill College with at Towson University, and I'm telling you, I have to ask a couple of my friends from that bracket who they actually picked to win it all. So basically, in every single bracket I have, picked Illinois to win it all. Maybe I'll choose Gonzaga or Oklahoma State or another team to win it all. But we'll see, in all reality, how March Madness is finally back, baby. And I simply cannot wait for the games to begin on Thursday. So the schedule, this will be my last thing I touch on for today. Here's how the schedule's working for March Madness. Instead of Tuesday, Wednesday, and Dayton, Ohio, and traveling all over the place, everything's in Indianapolis, Indiana. And in like 20-25 miles radius. So, the first four will begin on Thursday. The second and third rounds will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Then the Sweet 16 Elite 8 will be the following Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Then the Final Four, it's its normal Saturday, April 3rd. And the National Championship game is on that Monday, April 5th at All Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and your week as well here. I will be back on the air at the same time Thursday. We're going to go over NFL free agency, MLB bowl predictions, and special guest, Pittsburgh sports fan, and he started his own podcast. Ben Mattel will be calling me live on this show, 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. Use promo code 12OunceSports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 from my bookie. Enjoy your day, everybody.